There is a strange way to measure how bad a person is. You can measure them by the people who complained about them. And in the whole of the Second World War, there is one soldier who stands alone by this measure, because the complaints about him did not come from his enemies. They came from the SS itself, the most feared organization in Nazi Germany. Men who ran a machine of murder across a whole continent. And even they wrote reports saying, "This man is too much." His name was Oskar Dirlewanger. And this is the story of the worst soldier the Nazis ever had, and why they kept him anyway. Dirlewanger was born in Germany in 1895, and he fought in the First World War, where he was wounded many times and decorated for bravery. And this matters, because it is the one thing people would later use to excuse him. They would say, "He is a brave soldier. He is just hard." He was not just hard. After the war, he drifted through violence, joining the Freikorps, the roving bands of ex-soldiers who fought in the streets. And in the early 1930s, he was convicted of a crime against a young girl and sent to prison. He lost his job, his rank, his standing, and for most men, that would have been the end of any career at all. But Dirlewanger had a friend, a powerful one, an old war comrade named Gottlob Berger, who now sat near the top of the SS. And Berger pulled him out of disgrace and got his record cleaned and found him a job. And this is the first lesson of this story. Monsters very rarely climb by themselves. Someone opens the door for them. Someone signs the paper. Someone says, "I will vouch for him." Someone always vouches. In 1940, the SS handed Dirlewanger something no army should ever create, a unit made of convicts. It began with men taken from prisons, poachers at first, the idea being that men who hunted illegally in forests would make good trackers. But the idea did not stay small. Soon, the unit was filled with violent criminals, and later with men pulled from concentration camp punishment blocks, and even soldiers from other units who had been convicted of crimes so serious their own commanders wanted them gone. It was a unit built from the men every other unit refused, and it was given to the one commander every other commander refused. They were sent east, behind the front lines, to fight partisans in occupied Poland and Belarus. And the phrase, "fighting partisans," is where the horror hides. Because on paper, it sounds like war. And in practice, for this unit, it meant something else entirely. It meant villages. The record of what the Dirlewanger unit did in Belarus is one of the darkest files of the entire war. They moved through the countryside, village by village, and villages they passed through very often ceased to exist. The people killed, the buildings burned. The survivors, when there were survivors, deported to forced labor. And the unit's reports counted their victims in numbers that no honest person could call combat. Thousands upon thousands of dead who were not soldiers, who were farmers, women, children, entire communities erased and logged as enemy losses. Historians estimate the unit's operations killed tens of thousands of civilians in Belarus alone. And here is the detail that separates Dirlewanger from the ordinary run of war criminals: the paperwork. Because complaints about him began to pile up inside the Nazi system itself. SS courts opened investigations into him. Officials in the occupied territories wrote reports objecting to the sheer scale and cruelty of his methods. Not always because they cared about the victims, often because his rampages destroyed the labor force and made the region impossible to govern. But the complaints went up the chain, and the chain protected him. Berger shielded his old friend. Himmler found him useful. And every investigation died quietly in a drawer. The system knew exactly what he was. It kept him because he was exactly what it wanted, somewhere. That somewhere arrived in August 1944 in Warsaw. The Polish resistance rose up to free their own capital, and the Nazis sent in their harshest units to crush the uprising, Dirlewanger among them. And what followed in the district of Wola in the first days of August is remembered as one of the largest single massacres of civilians in the entire war. Tens of thousands of the city's people, patients, families, whole streets, were killed in a matter of days, not in battle, but in an organized slaughter. And Dirlewanger's men were at the center of it. The Wola massacre was so vast that even the German command eventually reined it back. Not out of mercy. The order simply changed because killing everyone was slowing the fight for the city. For his part in crushing Warsaw, Dirlewanger was not punished. He was decorated. He received one of Nazi Germany's highest military honors. And that single fact tells you more about the regime than any speech ever could. The man their own courts had investigated, the man their own officials called a disgrace, was pinned with a medal for the worst thing he ever did. Because the truth is, the system was never embarrassed by him, it was embarrassed by the paperwork. The end came fast, and it came fitting. In the last weeks of the war, Dirlewanger was wounded and slipped west, away from the Soviets, hiding in a small town under a false name. But in June 1945, he was recognized and arrested by the occupying forces, and held in a jail guarded, as history would have it, by Polish soldiers. Within days, he was dead. The official record lists natural causes. The consistent account of witnesses is that he was beaten over several nights by the guards, men from the very nation his unit had burned. And no one investigated very hard, and no one mourned at all. He was buried without ceremony, and for years afterward, rumors claimed he had escaped, until his grave was opened in 1960 and the body confirmed. The worst soldier of the Nazi war machine did not fall in battle and never faced a courtroom. He simply ended, in the dark, at the hands of men who remembered. So what is this story for? It is not for shock. The shock fades. It is for the mechanism. Because Oscar Dirlewanger was not a wolf who broke into the house. He was a man the house invited in, on purpose. With his record known, a convicted criminal, handed a uniform, a unit, and a hunting ground, protected every single time the complaints came in, and decorated when the worst was done. Evil on that scale is never just one man. It is one man plus a friend who vouches, plus a court that looks away, plus a chain of command that finds him useful, plus a medal at the end. Remove any link and the story changes. No one removed a single link. And that, more than the man himself, is the thing worth remembering.